Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari, and today we're continuing with our Gita Mahatmya series, and this is episode 9 of this series where we're going to be seeing the powers of chapter 9 of the Bhagavad-gita. Now of course the whole Gita Mahatmya is from the Padma Purana, and it's a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati. So this is how it starts. Sri Shiva said, "My dear Parvati, now I will relate to you the glories of the 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita. In the town of Mahismati on the bank of the Narmada river, there lived a Brahmana called Madhava. The Brahmana very strictly followed all the injunctions of the Vedas and possessed all the good qualities of the Brahminical class. Due to his being so learned, he would receive a lot of charity. And with his accumulated wealth, he started to perform a great fire sacrifice. For offering in sacrifice, a goat was brought. And when they started to cleanse the goat, in preparation for the sacrifice, to everyone's great surprise, the goat started to laugh. And in a loud voice said, 'O Brahmana, what is the benefit of performing so many fire sacrifices that simply bind us up in the wheel of birth and death? Just see my position due to my performing so many fire sacrifices.'" So this is a common thread you'll see in these important yoga texts and the bhakti texts, that this comparison, because basically you have the path of yoga or you have the path of mundane religiosity of the Vedas. Although again, very nice, all the injunctions of the Vedas, it's nice, but it's a mundane religion of the Vedas. And you see, even Krishna in Bhagavad-gita, you say, Arjuna, don't listen to the flowery words of the Vedas, because it's a different concept. In this scheme of the Vedas, we're talking about the mundane aspect. It was all about satisfying the demigods and hoping to take birth in Swarga, take birth with the demigods after your human life. So that was the idea. Now this is useless from the point of view of pure spirituality, from the point of view of yoga. So you'll see it comes up a lot, this theme of showing the problems with the sacrifice, because they would sacrifice animals. That's what they did. The Greeks did it, the Nordic folk did it, people in Africa, people still do it this day. Even the early Jews, they would sacrifice the goat in the temple of Jerusalem while they still had the temple in Jerusalem. So this was a common religious practice of sacrificing animals. But in yoga, we don't do that. And this is why it's a problem, because you're following a thing, but it's still, you're sacrificing an animal. So this is what the goat's going to say. When everyone gathered there heard the words of the goat, they became curious. And the Brahman inquired with folded hands, "How did you become a goat? In your previous life, who were you and what did you do?" The goat replied, "O Brahmana, in my previous birth, I was born in a very pure Brahmana family, and I very carefully performed all the ritualistic sacrifices enjoyed in the Vedas." So he was also a very nice Brahmana, doing everything written in the scriptures. "One day my wife wished to worship Durga, so that our child might be cured of his disease. For this purpose, she requested me to bring a goat. When we sacrificed the goat at the temple of Mother Durga, the goat cursed me. 'O sinful, lowest of all, you wish to make my children fatherless. For this, you will also have to take a birth as a goat.'" So he was doing he was the Brahmana doing a goat sacrifice for Durga, in this case, for the health of his child. Because again, it's mundane religion. You do these fire sacrifices for mundane purposes. Oh, I want my child cured. I want to take birth in Swarga. I want to have a good crop. I want to win. The kings would do it. I want to have prosperity in the kingdom. I want to win the battle. Mundane religion. So then he was at the temple of Mother Durga and he was sacrificing the goat, and the goat cursed him. Says, you're going to take birth as a goat because you're killing me. Because that's how it works. That's the law of karma. You're killing animals. Something's going to come back to you. You might get some religious benefit. I'm not saying the Vedas are wrong. You might get some benefit, but at what price? Right? You can get benefit, but there comes at a cost. So you have to pay for that cost. Oh, Madhava, when the time came for my death, I attained this body of a goat. But by the grace of Sri Govinda, by Krishna, I can remember my previous birth. That's why he's talking. He's like, there's a special situation. He was a nice Brahmin. He was trying to become. So he had some devotion, but he made a mistake. So he got the blessing, like, you're going to remember this whole thing. This is going to become a learning experience. So even though you're in the body of a goat, you're still going to have the consciousness of a human. So you'll be able to remember past birth and know what's going on. So then he explains this. But then he doesn't stop there. He's got more to say. So if you wish to hear another interesting story, then I will tell you, because where's the power of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita? Now he's going to tell us this story. So this is the goat still speaking to Madhava. In Kurukshetra, which is capable of giving liberation, because Kurukshetra, of course, is where the Bhagavad-gita was spoken. So it's a very powerful, sacred, holy land. There once lived a king called Chandra Sharma, who was in the dynasty of the sun god. Once, at the time of the solar eclipse, the king wished to give charity to a Brahmana. So this is the mundane Vedic thing. You're a king, and at certain special moments, you give charity to the Brahmanas. This is part of Vedic society. So this king wanted to do that. Included in that charity was a goat whose body was completely black. Before giving his charity, he went with his priest and took bath in the sacred lake, put on clean clothes, and applied sandalwood. Then he returned to his palace. So this was you get a nice view of the ritualistic part of the Vedas. So, it's like a special day. You're going to give charity to the Brahmanas. You have a priest to guide you through the process of it. And this process included a ritualistic bath and the sandalwood, getting ready for the charity, just to give charity. It's a really nice, just to give charity, you have a whole preparation for it. You don't just give charity. It's like a whole thing. You choose the right person, the right day. And Krishna talks about that in Bhagavad-gita. He talks about the 3 types of charity. Charity in sattva, charity in rajas, and charity in tamas. So you can do charity very wrong. You can get really completely off. But he was doing it nicely. He was going to give, even this nice goat to the Brahmana. Before giving his charity, he went with his priest and took his bath. With devotion, he gave charity to the qualified Brahmana. So he did his part. The king was doing exactly what the Vedas asked him to do in terms of the mundane religion. So he did everything very nicely, gave with devotion, with respect, at the right time, in the right way, to the right person. This is called charity in sattva guna, Krishna describes in Bhagavad-gita. However, after he had presented the charity, all of a sudden, from that black goat, 2 frightening beings appeared. Together they came closer and closer to the Brahmana. All of a sudden, they entered into his body. So everything was going fine. He gives nice charity, everything's going good. But then these 2 beings come out of the goat and start getting closer. You can see like a horror movie kind of situation, like they slowly approach the Brahmana. And then they enter his body. What's going on here? The Brahmana remained undisturbed and started to chant the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita while remembering Sri Govinda, Krishna. The king, witnessing all these activities, was stunned, unable to say anything. As soon as the words of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita came on the lips of that Brahmana, the Vishnu Dutas appeared there and chased away those two beings. So the Vishnu Dutas, these are these special messengers of Vishnu. These are special beings that work just for Lord Vishnu. They're like his messengers, his representatives. So they came right there as the Brahmana was thinking of Krishna and chanting the 9th chapter. They appeared, and then they removed those two beings from the Brahmana. So the king asked, "O learned one, who were those two beings? In which mantra did you chant? Which deity did you remember?" The king wants to know. The Brahmana replied, "Those two beings were sin personified, along with offense personified." So these are the worst things. Sin personified, like doing the wrong thing, and offense personified, because there's this whole concept of offense. You don't want to offend anyone. What to speak of a Brahmana or a guru or a yogi, offending, like saying, just being bad intentions, being envious, saying bad things. Very bad. Very bad. You see in the Bhagavad Purana, the famous story of Daksha. So powerful, one of the most powerful beings in the universe. And he offended Lord Shiva, and then his whole life was ruined because of that. So just offending is very, very serious. So offense personifies and sin personifies. And then, but the Brahmana stayed quiet and peaceful, took shelter of Krishna, and chanted the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. And the Vishnu Dutas freed him of that fearful situation. At that time, I started chanting the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, which is capable of releasing one from all fearful situations. By reciting the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, I am always able to remember the lotus feet of Sri Govinda. Upon hearing this, the king learned the chanting of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita from the Brahmana. Gradually, he managed to attain the lotus feet of Sri Govinda. When Madhava heard this discourse from the goat, he immediately freed the goat. He canceled his sacrifice. He learned his lesson. He let the goat go and started to engage in reciting the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita daily. And thus he also gained the lotus feet of Sri Govinda. It's very nice. Beautiful story. So yes, 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita is wonderful. It's very special. The gurus say, the great masters say, that the 9th chapter is preserved in the middle of the Bhagavad-gita. The Bhagavad-gita has 18 chapters. And the 9th chapter is right there in the middle, protected on all sides. Right there, it's like the jewel within the Bhagavad-gita. It's a beautiful, powerful chapter where Krishna explains Raja Vidya Raja Guhya, the greatest secret, the greatest knowledge capable of liberating us. It's when he starts talking about the relationship of the soul and God. Very important. So there you go. Whenever you're in a fearful situation, remain calm. Connect yourself with Sri Krishna. And at least remember the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. If you can't chant the whole thing by heart, at least try to remember it and try to chant the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita daily. It's a wonderful exercise, such beautiful verses. So there you go. I hope you enjoy that and have the rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.